I don't have anything to hold. All right. Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide through the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Leonard, and alongside me is my brother Tyler and my good friend Dustin. Good morning.
Hey,
What is up?
good morning. If you're listening on the podcast, we were holding up stupid stuff. So sorry, we're already off to a goofy start.
I can hold Naomi's ultrasound. That's all I can.
Bye. So funny.
That's
well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Pixelated Realms podcast / YouTube channel / whatever. We're excited to talk about some games today. I know there's been some things happening in the gaming world this week, and we're looking forward to diving into it.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about, we're going to do our normal weekly recap. We're going to answer questions from the community, just like you can, going to pixelatedrealms.org/ask. And then we're going to talk about a couple of games that we picked as, that we think are underdogs. So we don't know what each other's picks are or didn't. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about those. But first, what are you guys doing? What are you guys playing?
Well, I want to start this week because this is kind of an unusual thing to happen in the Fallout world. We had Fallout London drop. Now, for anyone who's not familiar, Fallout London has been a small project DLC mod, essentially, that has been created for Fallout 4. My understanding is it's just a 1 or 2 man team. But it's also been sponsored by GOG, the game developer or the game platform. So it had some kind of like collaboration going on. Regardless, this is essentially a whole video game sized mod for Fallout 4 that takes you to London and experiencing the Fallout world through the perspective of another country. And for those who may not know, Fallout does kind of the aesthetic does take place kind of centered around the American 50s culture. So kind of taking this over to the kind of culture of England that was in this alternative history is a very interesting angle. And I know a lot of people were really, really looking forward to it. Now, I'm the only one who's played it so far. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't have a computer to play it.
Oh, that's right.
And Dustin thinks Fallout sucks. So yeah, so I did play it. I gotta be the bearer of some bad news. I mean, I probably have a couple hours logged already, and a vast majority of that have been plagued with pretty significant issues. I cannot get it to like load. It crashes on start, or it's crashing once I get into the game. I've been having a lot of like issues where like the cutscenes aren't loading properly, or like my guy is like, going to like swipe a key card, but he'll just stand there for like 5 minutes, and then like he'll swipe the key card and then do like it's clearly delaying. Like, so there's like been a lot of these issues I'm having where I'm kind of like, I'm already kind of like, I do appreciate having a team of people working on a game sometimes, where I'm like people who could fix these bugs, and like I don't have to deal with it.
Where it's like their full-time job to deal with it.
Yeah, and so like, for example, right, like you start in a test tube and you get broken out of it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk out of the test tube. I go to walk, I can't move. My character can't move. So I'm like, okay, I assume maybe I have to like punch some of this glass. So I punch a few of these big pieces of glass. Great, let's walk forward. Nope, not yet. Okay, can I jump? It's like, it's some of these like basic things you take for granted in games, but like obviously when you don't have a development team working on it, it's very easy to like not have the time to spend on it. So I ended up having to break like every tiny little chunk of glass on this thing to walk out and start the beginning of the game. And I got to admit, like just to continue on the negative before I go to the positive, is like, there was just some game design things, even in this first level, that like really irked me. I'll show it on a video though. So like you're walking down the hallway, and there's this little like what do they call it? Like in gameplay cutscene, right? So like there's some shooting, and you hear people saying like, get him or whatever. It doesn't even matter. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's where the action is. As a player, I should walk over to that and participate in that. Well, I try to go do that, and the area's on fire, so my guy dies. I was like, okay, it was on fire. I can't go that way. I have to go a different route. Restart the game. Okay, I see there's a dimly lit door to my left. Sure, I'll go into the dimly lit area. I go into there, and there's a computer in that room, and that computer is basically thanking everyone who worked on the mod. And I'm like, great, I love that. Appreciate the people who worked on the mod. And then for about 5 minutes, I had no idea where I was supposed to go. Like, I was literally stuck in this game, and I was like, when look, I'm not a genius. I'm like, I'm probably just missing something really stupid. But what I was, where the game design comes into play was, when I was looking at that area where that cutscene happened, to my right, there was another door that took me the rest of the way. That door was completely immersed in shadow. There was no lighting, literally no lighting indicating to me. And I'm like, this is just such a basic thing in game design. Like, game design, use light to guide your players.
Right. Telegraph the path.
And so a lot of that lack of telepathing, that lack of like, it really showed me that this was a mod and not a full game. But I'm not going to say it's all negative. It's just one of those, like, that was the first thing that is what I experienced. I was able to get it to work, and I've been playing it. It's obviously really impressive. I mean, it's a huge mod. If this was like a small team of less than 5 people, that's mega impressive. Like, do not get me wrong, listeners. I still think it's incredible that like people can make something like this and bring us into the world of London and dialogue quests and dialogue and voice acting. Like, I think there's a ton to be appreciated here. And I'm going to keep playing this game because I just think it is an awesome idea. It's just those few basic things though it's going to stop most players from playing this. And I think it's an interesting case study on like the intricacies of game design and and that.
That's very interesting. I mean, everyone's kind of had their eyes on this thing because of the scale, just like how big it is. It brings up a few interesting questions, though. And just a random tidbit, but GOG is run by CD Projekt Red. I don't know if you know that, but
I did not know that. I'm gonna buy everything on GOG now. Okay.
Yeah, GOG, or by CD Projekt. CD Projekt is the parent company. CD Projekt Red is the game development, whatever. Anyways. So yeah, it's just interesting to see like the scale, but as with any mods are, there's going to be some like growing pains and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest though, I wasn't super interested in this, not because I feel like it's a pretty niche thing. And good for those who want to play it. Like, I think that's really cool. It's interesting to me because I will never get a Fallout outside of America, and Todd Howard, well, at least while Todd Howard is still in charge, and he's even said so. He said, like, I think there's some quote by him even from this year that he said something along the lines of like, America has it's just so naive, that it makes it for the setting to make sense. Anywhere else, it's you don't have that like American propaganda to the same. It doesn't hit the same.
You don't get that same twinge of like humor. That's the thing that I think America nails.
Like, everything's okay, even though it's
great.
not.
Yeah, and if you go to like think about the Metro 2033 world, right?
Game.
It's just like shit's grim. We live in Russia. It's the end of the world. There's no happiness.
Yeah, there's like, we've accepted our fate. We know everything is grim.
Fallout is all about contrast, right?
It is
like
our duty.
Smiles next to nuclear wasteland, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be interested to see how they like portray that in like kind of the London thing. I also like, to me, when I see like massive mods like this, to me, all I see is like a digital resume. Like course. I see these people are trying to get jobs at Bethesda, and they probably will. Yeah. They probably will. And
good for
so
them.
To me, that's kind of like what I see. And I'm like, good for them. Hopefully
a resume you can play ain't a bad resume.
No, it's almost necessary. But I didn't know there were things like even like cutscenes and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see kind of like where this goes. I don't know, Dustin, does this move the needle for you at all? Do you even care?
Have you been playing anything this week?
Yeah, I'm still knee deep in Elden Ring. I'm up to like
Tell us about that.
93.
Hell yeah.
I think. So I just deep digged the fucking guy in Volcano Manor. He fucked me up twice because I was just using my katana. And then I was like, you know what? They put this fucking sword in when you walk in for a reason, right? Like, let's just do this dumbass sword. And it's like, boom! It just starts fucking like shooting like waves of air or something, like concentrated air at him. And I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome. So yeah, he got like dick nastied after that. And then I went and did the sealed tunnels. So I turned in the I did the two divine towers for one for Radon and then one for that guy. So I got their great sills. So yeah, I mean, Mount Gilmer is pretty much done. Astral Plane or whatever it is, Astral, whatever, where the capital is. I don't really
Hmm.
think there's much there. It's like the capital is there, right? But like outside of the capital, like I did some like tomb where you go down, you have to fight like a black
Hmm.
knight or whatever, not a knight, but like a assassin guy before you can go in. I cleared that. But other than that, I don't think there's much in that area. I want to try to
Yeah, it's
figure out.
mostly the capital.
Yeah, I want to try to figure out what the Mirage thing is. I'm assuming that like turns into like a building once you like figure out the puzzle. But yeah,
Hmm.
so after I beat the guy at the Capitol, I fucking one shot that bitch. Uh, I freaking I just got on my horse and I ran all the way to the fire giant. I just like through the whole fucking mountaintop region to the fire giant. And I got the fire giant to like 50%. And I was like, I could probably beat this guy if I wanted to sit here and do like a 20-minute fight because he's super slow.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
he
I
was
was
pretty
like,
tough.
yeah, but I was like, you know what though? Like, I think I'm like way too far ahead. So then I went back and I did some of Castle Soul. I got to the boss before the boss, who was like two knights and then him. And I was like, this is pretty tough.
Hmm.
And then I was like, so I text my buddies and they're like, oh yeah, dude, like you're super, like you're like speed running this shit right now. And he's like, you go back and do like the capital area, go back and do Volcano Manor. And then he's like, and then go down and do the Lake of Rot or whatever. So
Hmm.
I did all those things. And then I also got the Rainy quest line to where I kill the guy who ports in your game right in the Lake of Rot, and then got the Moonblade after. So kill that dragon, got the
Oh,
Moonblade.
nice.
Uh, so yeah, that's where I am right now. So like I texted my buddy this morning and I was like, I think I'm like legitimately at Castle Soul now. Like I feel like I've
Hmm.
pretty much got everything done before then. Like maybe not some of the small stuff, but like the major things I've pretty much there. So
Mhm.
now I can take the side of grace back to just before the boss in Castle Soul and see how I
Hmm.
fare. But yeah, I got my weapon up to like plus 18. My Ash, my Mimic tier is up to like plus 7. I need to go find some plus 7 Smith Stones so I can keep leveling up my weapon. But I'm kind of tempted to actually like respec and use the fucking blood katana just
The
because I'm not.
Rivers of Blood.
Yeah, I heard it got nerfed.
That one
I
is
read
cool.
online that it was like really powerful at one point, but now it's like not as good. Everything I've read says like the one I'm using, the knockout whatever, is like the best one. Either for just like your standard combat, but then there's like another
Hmm.
one you can get if you want to spec magic. Forgot what it's called. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Wow, that's
Elden Ring's been
Sweet.
nice.
it's been fun, and I haven't had to have Alex help me out. He
Save you.
helped me kill Godric or whatever,
Yeah.
one guy. So pretty much doing it all on my own,
Nice.
Dude,
which
that's
is
good.
cool.
Once you beat the fire giant, I mean, you're pretty much in the home stretch.
Yeah, that's what my buddy said.
Um,
Like, don't beat the fire giant yet. Go back and do other stuff because the fire giant is like the entrance into in game.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. So there's like you beat him, then you like kind of light the fire or whatever, and then you go into like one area that you kind of get stuck in and you can't leave. Well, you could probably teleport out, but you have to go through that area, and then after that, if I remember right, you go back to the capital into the tree. So like you're pretty close
and
once
then
you've beaten the giant.
the one bitch, like the hardest boss in the game, like is she the final boss?
No.
Mal-
Oh, right, and her. No, she's part of that area after the fire giant.
yeah. What's her name again? I always fucking.
Melania,
Yeah,
Melania,
yeah.
Ellen,
Yeah. So I
it
also am trying to. I want to go
or
down.
Miguela. No,
No, I think they said it one time in the game. Forget.
no,
I watched
Melania. Yeah.
Um,
It
I'm
sucks when all of the names of the characters all start with either an M or an R, and so they're all so fucking similar that
I
it's
know.
like I get them all mixed up.
Yeah, I'm gonna also get the other half of the seal that will get me into a consecrated winter or whatever area where
Mhm.
you can kill Moog because you have to kill Moog to do the expansion. So
The DLC.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I want to kill him. I want to do that area and kill him, and then I'll probably do the fire giant. So I'm hoping to get into the next time I fight the fire giant. I'm hoping to be at least 110. Like that's kind of my goal. I don't know if
Yeah.
that will be high or low, but we'll see.
Yeah. I
But
find
yeah,
him Mog or
Moog,
is it?
Mog,
It's not
whatever.
Moog. It's
It's
Mog.
Mohg.
Yeah. It's it is Moog. Um, I actually find him to be one of the harder bosses. Just let you know.
Yeah,
He is very difficult because he hits really hard no matter what level you're at. And he has a couple of abilities that will like sweep the arena and are really hard to dodge. So if you don't kill him very quickly before he can get off a couple of those moves, he'll just end you.
yeah. That's
Wow.
been like some of my
Cool.
experiences. Where like sometimes I'll start a fight and I'll just get like fucking dicked on, and then the next time I'll just kill him. And it really just depends like what attacks he triggers, like the boss's trigger in the
Right.
fight, because they have like 5 different moves, right? So like some of them are like devastating, but if like you can kind of hope the RNG doesn't give you that attack, like you can get through the fight. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
All right.
let's move on. I actually don't have like much to talk about because I've just been playing Jedi Survivor. Um,
should we
so
use your time to talk about uh Doctor Doom or whatever fucking news really quickly? Do we feel
we
like
can talk about that
it's
for like 2
appropriate?
seconds. But if you
I
haven't
know it's
heard,
pretty exciting. Yeah.
yeah, we're kind of running low on time, but we can talk about it like really quick. So
Let's just say, like,
yeah,
do you think it's the right casting call to bring him back as Doctor Doom?
It's gonna be awesome.
I think it's gonna be cool. I think
I
it's
mean-
great. Doctor Doom is my favorite storyline, like God Doom. And I
Wait,
really
wait.
hope they do it.
We haven't even said what it is. So Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Doctor Doom in a new Marvel Avengers that is directed by the Russo brothers, which to me is the more exciting part of it.
Yeah, called Doomsday, I think.
Yeah.
Or
So they are shifting away from Kang. They're calling it a loss. They're going
Yeah.
to Doom.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
is that
which
what
is
it
in the-
was? Is that the same Avenger
Yeah.
movie? They just
I mean,
like
basically.
canceled it.
yeah,
Yeah,
because the one after
yeah.
that is Secret Wars.
Oh shit! Well, that,
So
that
they're
is a
just
bummer what happened with that guy. I mean, to the he ended up being a piece of shit because he was
Yeah,
so
it's a bummer.
fucking
He's a piece
good.
of shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was so good
Talented
in
actor,
Loki.
yeah.
You know, so oh well.
You know what? Well, before we transition, I do want to say one thing too. One last thing, and it's about the First Descendant. So last week we did our review of it, and I was like going back and forth because I was like, should I have given it a good? Should I have given it okay? And I played a few more hours this week, and I was like, no, it should be a good. And then I played a few more hours, and I'm like, no, I made the right choice. Okay is the right thing. I'm like stuck on things now. I'm just like uninspired. It's funny because like I think it's a solid game, but like yeah, there's things that are really sticking out to me now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
do
a
not want to
goat.
continue playing.
It's a goke. It's right in the middle.
yeah,
It's just
right.
like yeah. So
Yeah, it's right in the middle. It's okay sometimes, and sometimes it's good. If it had less mobile gaminess to it, I think it would be a solid good. But because they had so many like microtransactions and like that mobile game time gates, it kind of pulls away from it.
yeah.
But
Anyway,
okay,
should we
I'm gonna
hop into the
transition.
questions?
Yes, we're running behind. So if you want to ask us a question or leave a comment, you can go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask and leave us a question. We'll talk about it in the middle of our show, which is right now. So we only have one question, and it's from Ralph, the GOAT. So the question is, if you could play a game again for the first time, what game would you pick?
Ooh.
That's such a good question.
Wow.
For the first time, I think I would play Ocarina of Time. Legends of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
That would be so fun. Oh my gosh.
It's just such a special game. That like it was one of those ones where you beat it and you sit down and you're like, wow, like
Do I restart?
I'll never have that first time again, playing through the game and discovering everything.
World of Warcraft, easy
feel-
peasy.
I feel like I did do that though, almost because of WoW Classic. But anyway, I feel like for me, it's hard because I want to say like a Elder Scrolls Oblivion almost for
That's
a
a good
reason,
one.
because those games, the first time you played those open world games, were so magical. Like you felt like you had so much freedom. Part of me wants to go like The Witcher 3 because that game was so magical. But then again, I'm just like, why would I not say Cyberpunk 2077 in its current state? Because I didn't get a good launch experience. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
oh, that's tough. That's tough.
What about you, Dustin? What Tyler's thinking?
It's WoW because I can still remember like the exact feeling, like the first time I made my druid and like landed in Teldrassil by like the tree and level one and like it was just so fucking cool. Like and like that starting area also like or like just the night elf areas in general. Like the music is amazing. And it was just like, holy fuck, this is so cool. And like you get out of that area at like level three and like you start running around and I don't know, man. Like it was just like
It's a great
I don't know,
game.
like kind of breathtaking, like just like how awesome it looked, and it just like opened up this whole world. And I remember like getting my first, collecting enough money to have one gold, and thinking like, holy shit, finally got a gold. And I didn't know what that was, or how much that equated to, or whatever. But I was
So
like,
huge at the time. Yeah.
yeah. And I think I went and bought the stupid owl pet that they sold in Darnassus because I was like, I got enough money for this now. It's like 50 silver.
Yeah, I
And,
was like, it's a big investment for the beginning of your game.
yeah. So nah, WoW. If not WoW, my other one was gonna be Near Automata because that game was fucking awesome too. But yeah, I have to go WoW.
Part of me also wants to say like Final Fantasy 9. I feel like those games are they're so impactful because they're story driven. So like if I could forget that game and go back to it, I would be like, how did I not know about this? This game is awesome. So I don't know. Maybe that's my answer. Final Fantasy 9.
That's a great one. We should have a whole episode on why Final Fantasy IX is the best Final Fantasy.
Strong agree.
But moving on.
Save that for when I'm not on because I don't ever played it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that. So we're gonna move on. You guys feel free to drop some more questions for the next episode. We really appreciate it. We love when people ask questions. But before we dive in, we just want to say we really appreciate everyone who follows and subscribes to us. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning on podcast services and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. So now we're going to dive into our main segment, which today is everyone is going to bring kind of an underdog game and talk about it a little bit. So we wanted to bring some light into games that maybe just haven't got as much publicity as they probably should. So who wants to start?
I think you should.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. So I want to talk about.
I
this
wasn't
game
ready.
That I wasn't, but that's okay. I want to talk about this game that I saw on Instagram, and I was like, "How the hell have I never heard of this?" Because this looks so up my alley, and it's this game called Pioneer. It's by a company called GFA Games, and I believe this is their first ever game. And I think they're a company out of Russia. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I think so.
Keep talking and I can look.
And they are making this game called Pioneer. And I saw the video and I was like, if this isn't a vaporware game that's going to be one of those like the day before where it turns out to be better, all talk and no show. This game looks awesome. It is a live servicey kind of PvE co-op game.
Okay.
Where you are a survivor in a post-nuclear war Russia. And one of the reasons that caught like my interest is I'm a huge fan of the Metro games. Metro Exodus was one of my probably my top like 5 favorite games. Like that game is so good. And this looks like very similar to that, but it brings in like more live servicey things. So I was like, oh, if you could take a game that I love and add like an online component to it, like I'm definitely in and I'm sold. Similar to games like Stalker and things like that. So I was like ready to go. And so kind of what this game is it's like a survival game. And you can bring in players, like co-op players, and you go and you search the wasteland and you get like crafting components and you like build up stuff.
Okay.
but it seems much more kind of like single player focused, but there are meaning like story like single player with like co-op people, but not like a hey, here's like your server and just survive like sandbox. It
Right,
seems
like
a lot more
Rust or something like that.
right. It seems a little more focused. But there's also like global hubs, so you could go to like a town, and then all the players nearby will be there, and you can kind of interact with other players. And then there's also PvP modes that are kind of like um, not raids, but like you could go and it'll be like, hey, there's this high value thing. It drops a bunch of players in. Whoever defeats the monster and gets the goods and gets out and extracts gets it. But those are optional.
Yeah.
So it's not like the core of the game. So if you don't even want to do that, you don't have to do that. So
Yeah.
and it looks beautiful. The game looks absolutely beautiful, and
I
it's
was about to
supposed to
say,
release.
just taking a look at it, it seems like it's graphically like just has a really great visual design.
Yeah. So I kind of want to. I kind of wanted to play a little bit of the trailer, but it doesn't really translate over well to the podcast. So I'm probably just gonna talk over it a little bit. So here
Well,
you
I mean,
can.
aesthetically, just
Can
taking
you
a
hear
or
it?
no, we cannot.
Oh, you can't hear it. I have to share my
I'm-
screen.
Aesthetically, I mean, it looks a lot like you said, Metro, Fallout in Russia.
Hmm.
Beautiful graphics so far. Gunplay looks very like traditional guns. But like you said, like there's like a survival game kind of almost look to it. I mean, honestly, just based on like looking at the gameplay, it seems really solid. It's one of those things where you're like, how do you tell that? But it like the visuals are very for a small studio game, like this seems better. It seems like it's punching above its weight is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
yeah. I think it's an Unreal game, so it's just absolutely gorgeous. The weapons look super cool. The environments look super cool. You're like fighting, mutants and stuff.
There's like mutated like animal things, yeah, like beasts and monsters,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you
Just
have
to,
and you have like a combination of modern weapons. Like one guy's like an AR, and another guy has this like makeshift shotgun. So it looks really cool. And like one of the things is that there's like a team of your friends that you can go and do
Right.
these things with. So it looks like there's actually something worth playing here, and it looks really nice. Like I'm really excited, and it's supposed to come out at the end of this year, so it's something we could get relatively soon.
Yeah, that looks fun. It looks like, I mean, it looks like a really good like combination of a whole bunch of types of games, survival, Metro, So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, like, is there anything completely new about this? No. Does there need to be? No. Like, as long as they can execute what they say they're executing, this would be so much fun.
Yeah, exactly. As long as I'm just hoping that it's not too good to be true.
Yeah. or come out with some kind of issues that, kind of make it unplayable or whatnot.
Yeah. All right, cool. What do you guys got?
Dustin, do you want to go?
Yeah, mine's going to be quicker than that, which probably is a good thing. Yeah, you guys know, like, I'm now like super deep in the indie stuff. Like, I don't have like a huge grasp on like all the different games coming out, which is weird because I work in the industry, but, I think like that makes it, people think like work in the industry you love. But honestly, when you work in games all day, it does make it seem like you don't want to just like be doing game stuff all day afterwards. Um, so yeah, I don't really pay attention to like stuff that I'm not working on other than like the major things. But I would say one game that I'm surprised isn't getting a little bit of attention or more attention, and it's a remaster. So it's in 2002. So also makes you feel super old. Episode 1 came in 1999, and I think episode 2 must have come out before 2001 because in
Star Wars.
2002 they released
Yeah.
they released Bounty Hunter, which is like a bounty hunting game with Jango Fett, not Boba Fett.
If you're old like us, you remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he like goes on this like journey as like a agent of the clone army, right, to hunt down like this dark Jedi, which that's kind of weird because you just think it'd be a Sith, but it's a dark Jedi they call it. I didn't play the game, so I have no fucking idea.
I don't have time to explain, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like there are differences.
I don't have time.
Clear differences. But yeah, anyways, like, this game got picked up by a new studio. I forgot what they're called. But they're making a refreshed or remastered version of it, and it comes out August 1st. And
Wow.
Like,
Oh my
I
God.
had no fucking idea that this game was coming out, and I
August 1st? Wow.
yeah, and it's kind of crazy because like Outlaws is coming out August 30th or 31st. So like
Yeah.
from working with Lucas, like they like to really have a say on like what's getting attention and what's not. Like we always try to do like these comeback story articles about Star Wars Battlefront 2 because it was doing so well after everything was fixed. It was like hitting huge numbers, and they're like, no, we don't want to talk
Awesome
about that.
game, by the way.
Yeah, like we don't want to talk about that shit. Like everything that game related, let's just shut the fuck up. But I think that I can imagine that's happening here a little bit because they don't want any attention off of Outlaws, and they don't want any negative Star Wars press just in case this remaster kind of sucks, you know.
I mean, the
So-
game wasn't like the best game ever. Like, I mean, it would have been a little bit more like I just want to frame something though at the time. Like, so we were kids when this came out still, and like Boba Fett and Jango Fett like were really unrepresented in Star Wars. And at this time, like they hadn't realized everyone thought they were the coolest characters. So when when Bounty Hunter came out, this is the first game we ever got where you got to play it as like Boba Fett or Jango Fett, and everyone wanted Boba Fett. We got Jango Fett, but we were happy with it.
You
at the
can
time.
play in this as Boba Fett if you beat the game.
And apparently, there's a new skin where you can play as Boba Fett, which is exactly what we all wanted to do 20 years ago, which is crazy, more than 20 years ago. But I mean, it's just But that's the point is that this game actually was really special because we had not had a Star Wars game like that before. It was usually this was around the time that like Jedi Academies were coming out. Like you were getting it was
Also
all
great.
Jedi focused. Oh yeah, one of the best. So yeah, it was just like the fact that this comes out August 1st, I can't believe that.
It's like a couple days.
I'm gonna pick that up immediately.
Yeah,
and give
and
it a
it's
shot.
$20 game. Though, does it
Aw.
change your mind? It's by the company is Aspire is the game developer, and they're the same people that did the Star Wars Battlefront 2 remaster that was recently a major flop. Does that
Well,
change your
there's
mind
the
at all?
ticket.
Gotta
Yeah.
buy it on Steam. Just buy it on Steam. Just, you know, you
Yeah.
got your 2 hours to check. I think like not to like keep going, but like what you're talking about, like the first game that felt that way. Like I don't know, maybe I'm like tripping, but I think like Force Unleashed was kind of like that for me, where like it was just like so
But
fucking cool.
But you're still a Sith.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
like, I'm just saying, like, Bounty Hunter came out. That was you could be a bounty hunter. Like, you were never,
Yeah.
game's never focused on, like, being besides Dark Empire on the N64, which, sorry, but it's like, you were always like a Jedi, you know? So it was like, whoa, I can actually I can have the jetpack. Like, I remember thinking the jetpack was so sweet and all the tools, like, you know, bounty hunters had. So it was, like, super unique, but the game wasn't considered a success, I don't think, you know, because it didn't make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
But then that's another one where you know, going back to these times is like we got Star Wars Republic Commando around the same time.
Oh,
Republic
yeah.
Commandos is a really good game. It was a really good team-based shooter.
I don't want to remaster that though. I want a fucking remake. I want them to remake that bad boy in Unreal Engine or something
Wait, which one?
equivalent and make it Republic Commandos. That
Republic
game
Commandos.
would hit so hard if they came
Well,
out.
That
with,
game,
like,
and
a
we're getting off topic, but that game actually pioneered a few things. Like I remember playing co-op Alex together, and like we would you could like res your partner, and that was the first time I remember ever seeing a res in a video game where you could
That
like
can't be the first time ever.
I'm just saying that's the first time when I was a kid that I remember resing someone in a first-person shooter co-op game. Try me.
Halo?
Are talking about Star Wars remasters?
No, in Halo
I
you don't
want,
res people.
That's
I
true,
want
I
Rogue
guess.
Squadron. I'm just saying, I want Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron, now we're just getting into our favorite Star Wars games.
Didn't that one come out with a remaster or
I
remake?
don't, no, they had Squadrons, which was made by EA.
Squadrons. Yeah, no, it's not Rogue
Motive.
Squadrons though.
Yeah,
I
but
guess it's not
not
Rogue
a,
Squadron.
Yeah, it's not the same.
I think it was supposed to kind of be the successor, but
Although I do
Kind
want to
of.
do a whole episode on like our favorite Star Wars games because I'm in a Star Wars kick right now, so I love
Yeah.
Star Wars games.
well, but we
Maybe
should
next
do
week.
with that. That might not be a bad idea to do just before the Star Wars Outlaws release.
I'm
We
playing
could do a
KOTOR
special-
2 right now, so
We could do like a special episode, but we're just like designing.
now we've really gone off the rails. Anyway, let's go
Tyler.
back to my game. So All right, everyone. So when Alex let us know about this idea for the episode, I could not figure out what I wanted to do. There's a lot of great indie games out there. There's a lot of great small developers out there that I wanted to highlight. But I inevitably decided to choose actually what is a DLC for a game that I love, a game that I think, although it's gotten plenty of positive attention in the gaming world, I think it hasn't gotten anywhere near enough. I would consider this game to be, and I'm not kidding, one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Alex's eyes. No, I really do. And that game is Factorio. I know if you've never heard of Factorio, Factorio is a game, simply put, where you design factories, assembly lines to basically in the original rendition of the game to launch a spaceship into space. And that involves mining dozens of different materials, taking those materials on conveyor belts to other places, combining those materials into it's an incredibly complex logistical game that you
Very
will
complex.
get addicted to faster than you could possibly believe. The first time I ever played Factorio, I think it was like 7 or 8 o'clock I started. We didn't log off until 4 a.m. And it was a work night or school night.
Right.
So
but they just released. Is that what you're saying? They just released a new.
Yep. So they're releasing in the very, very near future a DLC mod for Factorio called the Space Age. And this is actually kind of jumping off of a big mod called the Space Exploration mod that other people had been playing. And basically, once you launch your rocket into space in Factorio, which takes an average person anywhere from 50 to 150 hours, once you do that, the game does end and you're stuck on the planet. The developers have actually had a really detailed development log that you can go onto their website and read, and it's very interesting. And they go into complex detail into how they've developed the game and how they are developing this DLC. And obviously, I don't have time to go into all the details, but it was a really interesting journey, and the way that this small team approaches it is really fascinating. They really do have a passion for the production chain and the assembly and the efficiency aspect of this game. So if you're someone like me and who revels in that, they're a really like fun team to kind of follow. And just to name a few things, this DLC here. Oh, I'm so sad because now when we were there it is. So this DLC, as I said, you beat the original game, by launching a spaceship into space to get off of this planet. Well, the Space Age takes you into space where you continue your factories while loading fuel into your rocket as you explore the stars. Now, this is going to involve visiting 4 individual planets that all have unique attributes, which I think is going to be really cool. And in the development blog, they talk about how they didn't want these planets just to be like, yeah, you show up at a planet, it's the same planet as the one you had just came back from. They all need to be extremely unique and offer new gameplay challenges. So just to name a few things, and shout out to Mr. Rocket Ship on Reddit for just listing this out for me. One of the planets is the lava planet, and iron and copper are actually going to be liquids when they're traditionally mined. So now you have this whole logistical element of this game where that turns it on its head. On the electric planet, mineral resources are taken in as scrap, and you have to sort them and use high level production to dismantle them and turn them into the materials you want. On the jungle planet, you harvest things through plants and byproducts, and they deteriorate if you don't use them quick enough. And then the final planet we're not sure about. So it's just like, it's taking the game, enhancing it, and then putting it in a new environment. And I am just so excited. It is so much fun. I mean, I know it doesn't, when I'm talking about production chains and logistics, it doesn't sound, but it's an incredibly fun game. It's incredibly rewarding. And this DLC has already had 5 years of work put into it. And it's going to be, it's just something really amazing that's not getting enough attention. In my opinion, Factorio, like I said, is one of the greatest games ever made, especially by a small team. So I'd love them to get more representation. I'd love for more people to check it out. And I'll kind of end it out here by saying, they said their first playthrough on the game, it took over for the DLC only. It took them over 300 hours to beat it from start to finish.
Oh
And
my
then the
God.
next time they played it, they said they were like, that was ridiculous. So they did it again, and they got it back to like 270. And then they did it again, they got it under like 150. And then they did it again, they got it even shorter. So it's these developers are literally sitting down and playing their game. Like I know it sounds silly, but like they really are making sure that this game is fun and not just this logistical nightmare that this feels like a second job. So if you're interested, please check out Factorio and the new DLC dropping, Factorio Space Age. You're going to love it. I guarantee it.
Nice. Well,
did
did you know you
Google
can
it.
have factorial servers and you can play with multiple people? I feel like we should set something up.
One of my there's a great YouTuber. I want to say it's the Spiffing Brit, but I'll double check that. He did like a game where it was like 10,000 followers in one game, and it's just
Oh my
10,000
God.
people. People are like constructing these insane factories. Oh, it's a great game. Great co-op game with your friends too.
I Googled it because I never heard of this game, and the first thing you get past like the website, all that shit, it says things to know. Addiction. Why is Factorio so addictive? It's like literally the
It
top
is
thing.
so.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
you
is.
start out by mining like copper manually. You're just like, okay, my guy's making copper. But then like an hour later, you've you've
automated.
you've automated every aspect of that, so the mining is done automatically. It's feeding in coal automatically. That's taken from a coal mine that you have 6 miles away that a train brings in, and then that's powering your electrical water cylinders. Like it's so fun. Another, I like if you
And then
like
how
the
many
game.
times do you have to destroy your base and start over because you found it's like not efficient enough?
And also, I forgot to mention there's a race of aliens who hate smog that are trying to destroy and kill you. So I don't know how that plays into the space portion of this game, but yeah, it's really, really fun.
Cool. Oh, I wanted to bring this up during the beginning of the show, but now that we're here, I think it's semi-relevant. There's two things I wanted to talk about. One, No Man's Sky got a huge update that's supposed to be pretty cool. And so once I get my computer back,
the world of gaming as we know it.
every expansion they do, right? Every expansion they change the world of gaming, but in a way they did. It just took a long time. And then two, Hunt Showdown, which is something that me and Dustin used to play a lot. So Hunt Showdown is getting deprecated. They're like killing it. They're end of lifing the game, but they're replacing it with a new one called Hunt Showdown 1987 or something, maybe 1887. I don't know.
Really?
Some number. And
1987, they're like in cowboy shit, and they're like in the 80s.
yeah, let me see. Hold on. Before Hunt Showdown, 1896. I was way off. 1896. And so anybody who owns the original one gets this one automatically because it's like it's kind of like a restart. They're like restarting the game. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe something we should try and play.
Yeah.
I want to do. It's kind of interesting. It's like I feel like some of my favorite games now are actually games that have come back from development hell or release hell or whatever we want to call that. Basically, they were released, the community hated them, thought they were terrible, they didn't run right, those microtransactions. Like, I mean, just off the top of my head, I could think of 3 games that are absolute, like I don't know if I'd call them 10 out of 10s, but somewhere in like the 8 to 10 out of 10 area that started off super rough. Battlefront 2, super rough microtransactions. People were pissed. 800 hours to unlock Darth Vader. Now, if you go back and play Star Wars Battlefront 2, I mean, the campaign's incredible. The DLC campaign is really good. The graphics are amazing. The multiplayer is amazing. Unfortunately, not a lot of people like play it, but like it's an incredible game, hands down. Cyberpunk 2077, super rough launch. One of my favorite games of all time years later. And then No Man's Sky, right? I mean, once again, really, really rough launch, really rough. 7-10 years later, it's like 10 years, right? It's been almost 10 years. It is bloomed like a majestic flower. It's really become this amazing game. So I don't know. To me, like, part of me is like, hates judging things for what their release because they can become something so amazing. So it's It's a weird time, but I want to do a whole. We'll dive into more of those.
I know. You know what's a game that I wish had that story and doesn't or didn't is Anthem. I actually really found that game super fun, and I found the story very interesting. And I felt like if they would have just kept with it, that game could have been a real success. And they just gave up on it too early.
Quickly, actually. They actually pulled out too quickly. Like, it's funny because I remember playing Anthem and being like, playing the first bits.
It had a solid base.
And I was like, okay, like I'm playing kind of like the first Descendant. You're like, okay, whatever. Like, this feels pretty fun. But then like that, it was like as if the first Descendant literally was like, okay, guys, we're closing the game down. It was like, oh, okay. I haven't even had enough time to like really hate it yet. Like, if that's the case.
Yeah. So. It's like, I mean, that game had such a strong base. Yeah, it didn't meet all the expectations that they had wanted to meet. But if they were like, hey, listen, we like No Man's Sky didn't be like, hey, we didn't come out the way we wanted to, but we are going to get there. Like, I think people would have stuck with it, but they just fucking gave up, and it pisses me off because I really liked the flying around in those mechs was so satisfying. But
it's just funny because I felt like the game was over before I even had a chance to have an opinion.
Totally.
Like I played a few hours, and I'm just like,
it costs a lot of money to fix games, though. And I don't know what the sales were for Anthem. I mean, I worked on that game, like I said,
I thought it was free. Oh no, I got
hardcore PTSD. Thinking about it, but that game was so fucking broken at launch, and people like left the studio, like got fired or left on their own.
Oh, it was very internal.
It was just like a fucking nightmare. Like, I don't know if that impacted why they didn't keep pushing on it, but like, I don't know. I think that they were probably just like, this game, it was going to take so much work to get to where it needs to be, and like, again, I don't know what the sales were like, and they were probably just like, cut their losses, right? Because No Man's Sky is different because they got so much fucking money from like the Kickstarter or whatever. Like, they had the money to sit there and fix it. And I'm not saying EA doesn't have a lot of money, but you have to look at it from a business perspective, I think, where it's like, even if we fix this game, was it so bad at launch? Like, how many, like, are we only getting the people back who originally bought it, or are we going to actually be able to make more money
get
and
new players,
get people to actually dive back into this game, or for the first time? And they probably were just like, there's no way, like it's just so much bad publicity around it that it's dead. Like,
it just made me think there was a lot of factors we just weren't privy to, like the kind of hate Anthem got was not that different than the kind of hate No Man's Sky got, or the kind of hate like some other games got. So I don't know. I feel like there's factors we must not have known that caused them to pull out that hard, because you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of, like, The Division was, not like a record-breaking game. I don't know. I just feel like there's other games that were similar that didn't give up. Like Anthem just gave up.
Yeah, but it sounds like there was a lot going on in that. Well, cool. I'm going to wrap us up there. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and to be notified when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning on podcast services and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. Thank you very much.